All right, the session is open for Q&A and any type of question. I mean, it's not very common that this many people is in one room with all the leaders involved. It's a great opportunity for a good Q&A session. Questions? Yes?
Can you talk about seed grant funding opportunities or seed money?
So we have a Commonwealth mechanism of funding that exactly is aimed, according to the language, to boost extramural funding. And going forward, those funds would be exactly aimed to putting or submitting new grants, and then when you get a score, to again funding for review. I guess that would be for revision of the grants. So that would be the seed funding mechanism. So that is the intent of that funding anyway. So we just have to convert that whole thing into a seed funding program. That is the current intent. And?
Thank you, Dr. Seth. Recently, we are all aware of the data on the problems that they anticipated workforce development in issue areas across the board. In the past, McGowan had a fairly successful program with young people at the high school age. Do you look into the future of working with, across the campus again, the School of Education and so forth, to look at workforce development programs, some of which could be attached to McGowan to increase the interest of young people and to help the workforce and impact the region? Thank you.
Thank you for the question. I think that first and foremost, there ought to be an awareness program, information dissemination program, because people understand what's out there and not everything that's out there is really clear. So I think to engage with high school students and describe to them from the expert standpoint what exactly is the opportunity ahead, that information dissemination program or education program can happen right now. Now, convert that into a workforce development program requires deliberate program planning, strategic planning, and consulting with a broader base and see when is the right time to launch that. So I think right now we are not ready to launch or to commit to launching a workforce development program, but the information program followed by some strategic planning retreat where this comes up and we listen to everybody and see where the opportunity is. But I actually led a workforce development program for the state of Indiana in regenerative medicine. So I know exactly what it takes, including government support, public-private partnership, all of it. And in that program, and Brent is here and Dr. Yoder is here, we had numerous companies that all said that our students will be funded by them as interns, and these are regenerative medicine companies. So all of that groundwork needs to be done, and then the program launches, and that will take us a little bit of time. Thanks for the question.
In looking at all the talent you have across the university and beyond in regenerative medicine, what are ways that we can all come together around the mission?
That is what I've been discussing with Patrick. How to harness the power of PIT. I mean, obviously, there is known strength and then there is this unknown strength. And as I assess, the known strength is a small fraction of the unknown or harnessed strength. We will have to really go through a process, and Patrick seems to understand the lay of the land, and many of you here do. I would call upon you to come, please participate in the discussion session and tell us where to look for, and as an affiliate or whatever capacity, draw from those strengths. For us to be climbing to that altitude that we just committed ourselves to, we need to do that across the entire matrix, and not just within our institute, including CMU, all of Pittsburgh.
Can I make one comment?
Please.
I was going to say this and I forgot. How many of you saw Laura Nicholson on Sunday news shows yesterday? Anybody? You don't know Laura? Laura's one of the leaders in regenerative medicine. And she started a company called Humacyte. I was on the advisory board, and they're extremely successful now. When they're now, they have an off-the-shelf vascular graft that's now being used, and it's being the reason she was on the talk shows was because of the war in Ukraine and how it's they're being used over there and saving limbs and so forth. But that's a real success story. I mean, that's a true regenerative medicine success story. And when we were in the first year or two of, she was forming that company, she said to me, she said, I'm using your model at McGowan on building this company and how we're going to take this to patients. Now, it's taken, I think it's been about 14 years now, but you can imagine the types of clinical trials. And literally, she's spent, I think, spent over $100 million to get this vascular graft on the market, but it's now on the market. That is, so there are real success stories coming out of regenerative medicine. There's no reason, that we can't be doing the same thing.
And at this time, I'm pleased to tell you more than 15 companies in this space within the last 1 month are in touch with us to work with us. There'll be a lot of industry-funded research. I expect to see some of that industry-funded research to basically evolve into NIH-funded research on the mechanistic side, and then some level of work with the industry as they're interested in. So those type of mechanisms will start, and today is a good day because we had some Navy funding in Indiana that the Navy said you cannot be moved, and Ron tried a lot, and we came back futile from Florida, but today I get a call saying that the funding, so they said, okay, we can't move that, we'll give you a new grant. So they gave us so the paperwork is on for a new grant. So today they said, you can keep the new grant and you will also get the old grant. So both are coming here. So the momentum is good, and people are recognizing that the potential is high, and for them to put their dollars in, they're good to see impact, and that's what we have to deliver on. The more impact we deliver, the more money will come, more opportunities for all of us. Yes, Ron?
Shadon, I wonder if you would comment on UPMC's role. They make up part of this Pittsburgh Innovation District, right? Pitt, CMU, UPMC, and their support to being an active partner in the clinical wound care program. What other areas of collaboration do you see with UPMC?
You want to answer that from your vantage point?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much, the areas are open to our imagination. There's a lot of patients waiting there with lots of different needs. Do we have solutions for them? And then how do we get it to them? Those are the two questions we should be asking. And if you have solutions for them, we'll figure out a way to get it to the patients with UPMC. Because ultimately we are partners, and our goal is to improve patient care in every way possible. So whether it's money, whether it's access to patients, whether it's hiring new experts like Chandon, all of that is open to discussion, as long as we identify a problem and develop a solution.
And to your point, this morning thanks to Peter, this morning from 10 to 1, we were in Bakery Square, at the UPMC Enterprise with Dr. Aman Mahajan from anesthesiology, and essentially, laying out a plan for business opportunities spinning out of the wound care operation. And there'll be soon a follow-up meeting. So all those are in motion. Yeah. And anybody interested, feel free. This is not about a certain group of people doing and others cannot. This is, when it happens, it's open to all of McGowan, equally. I promise you. All you have to say is that I'm interested, and you will be engaged. This is not about a set of people doing something on the side, just like he said. It is about McGowan as a whole, and I reconfirm that pledge. Yes, Gail?
So I would make one other comment along that line, in that good clinical care is the essential foundation to doing research. You need standardized care that meets clinical good practices in order for you to collect data that is consistent and to learn. And UPMC is a critical partner in that. And typically bringing research into those clinical units where you are really sort of forcing people to adhere to inclusion and exclusion criteria and certain workup can help elevate the standard of care as well. But it's a very much a two-way street. It's a very dynamic process, but I think bringing research will help elevate the care, and that you can't do it without the partnership of the UPMC clinical leadership as well.
It's a very good point, and I'd like to address the opposite end of the spectrum. I know people are not speaking up here because they've been hearing translational clinical. I want to make sure that we register, we highly value fundamental basic science research, period. Without that, there is no translation, there is no clinical. So each and every one of you that are involved in fundamental discoveries are equally a part of this mission. It is just that implementing translational work and clinical work is much more difficult. Therefore, we are paying so much attention to it here, because implementing basic science research, the equation is pretty much clear. So don't think that that's not a priority. So those fundamental discoveries will happen, and then they will pass through all these steps. So it is one continuum.